The margins in your notepad seem really strange. What are they for? Who or what inspired the fluffy pom-pom on top of your knit cap? There are so many things in life that we take for granted, but once you know their true purpose, they become so much more interesting. Let's explore these things through this list. Number 1. Handy hole. You may not have given much thought to one of the contemporary soda can's trendiest characteristics, but rest assured that it is an engineering wonder. The cutout on the tab. You might have assumed its primary use was to improve grip, but it really has a surprising additional use that will make you blame yourself for overlooking it before. If you flip the tab, you may insert a straw and use it to hold the goodie in place while you drink. Pretty neat, right? Number 2. Extra fabric. New apparel typically comes with a little plastic Ziploc bag containing a few extra buttons and a fabric swatch. Even if you don't plan on popping a button over Thanksgiving, we know you brought spares just in case. And yet, why do we need this scrap of cloth? It's a widespread misunderstanding that this scrap is a spare bit of fabric in case you ever need to mend a tear in your wardrobe. In reality, this scrap of fabric serves as a test for your laundry detergent and other washing processes before you put your expensive new cardigan through the wringer. Number 3. Converse lacing. There has been a mystery around the 2 holes at the sole of the classic Converse All-Star sneakers ever since they were originally introduced. Most people say it's for air circulation, but is it really worth it if your socks get wet every time you step in a puddle if you can just poke a few holes in them? Not at all. And the reason why is because that isn't the purpose of the holes. You probably already know that basketball was the initial intended use for Converse, and that the holes in the shoes are a literal nod to this fact. The purpose of these holes is the same as the purpose of the holes on top, which is for the laces. If you need a more secure fit, or just don't want to trip over your laces while speeding down the lane, these 2 additional lacing holes are there for you. Number 4. Gas gauge arrow. You will never again want to park in front of a gas station on the wrong side of the pump after hearing the following one. Automakers, you see, have long since thought out a way to heed this off at the pass. You may see a tiny arrow next to the pump icon on your fuel gauge the next time you check your dashboard for gas. The gas tank cap is located on that side indicated by the arrow. I mean, you have to admit, it's quite ingenious. Due to its low visibility, some automobile manufacturers have ceased including it on the gauge altogether, while others have flipped the gas symbol such that the nozzle points in the direction that your gas cap is held. Number 5. Pill bottle top. It may seem obvious, but many people would be surprised to learn that the top of a contemporary pill container has a second roll. When you first take a look at one of these caps, you might be confused as to why there are screw grooves on the section that doesn't really go into the bottle. Well, yeah, they actually do go inside the bottle. Turning the top over provides for more convenient access. For those without children, the elderly, or anyone who has problems opening a standard childproof cap would appreciate this alternative. Number 6. Cart loops. If you do your own grocery shopping, you've probably encountered the terror of a supermarket bagger who, no matter how carefully you loaded your cart, bags everything up and puts it in, regardless of how many eggs and loaves of bread are crushed in the process. The bagger probably doesn't need you to micromanage them, but maybe next time you could show them how to use the special function on the supermarket carts that even most grocery stores have neglected to include. If you've been paying attention, you'll have seen that the shopping cart's child seat has 2 protruding metal loops on the rear. This isn't some feeble torture gadget meant for kids. Actually, they serve a really clever function. You see, these hooks are for you or the bagger to use while reloading your shopping cart, so that the lighter products may be hung from the hooks and the heavier ones placed at the bottom. Such a straightforward idea that has, alas, lost favor. Number 7. Additional pocket on your jeans. It's possible that you have no idea what the original purpose of that odd little pocket on your pants was supposed to be used for, even if you've come up with 1,000,001 creative ways to put candy bars, hidden notes, and spare change in there. Midway through the 19th century, denim was developed as a more long-wearing trouser specifically for the gold miners who migrated to California. This pouch was tailor-made to protect and securely store pocket watches, one of the most popular and crucial devices of the day, despite their high price tags. And what about those odd, often dimpled rivets on your jeans? Well, these improvements made jeans even more resilient to the conditions of the American frontier. Each of those rivets is positioned precisely where the seams of the jeans are most likely to split open. Number 8. Half belt. If you live in a colder area, you may be familiar with the trench coat, which is distinguished by a short strap on the back that has a button that links to nothing and seems to serve no other use than appearances. The half belt, as it was originally called, was an ingenious solution to the problem of keeping soldiers warm in cold weather. In the past, it was common practice to make trench coats extra large so that they could be folded up and used as blankets on the go. To prevent soldiers from tripping over the jacket's excess material, the half belt in the rear was utilized to keep it buttoned up neatly. Number 9. Measuring tape tools. Most builders and contractors would be lost without the contemporary electronic measuring tape. But even the most competent professionals may be unaware of its two remarkable, uncomplicated benefits. The tape's metal end is serrated, for starters. This feature was included so that, if wanted, the user might leave a small scratch or imprint on the surface being measured, serving as a landmark for future measurements or designs. The second characteristic may be found in close proximity to the serrated edging. Typically, metal tips will have a little hole in them, which you may have observed. So tell me, why are we doing this? Well, this is done so that the measuring tape may be hooked onto a nail or screw in order to keep it in place while taking measurements. Number 10. Hole in the pen cap. You have undoubtedly taken note of the little hole on the crown of a cap and maybe attempted to use it as a whistle or a makeshift spyglass. There is a common misconception that this hole serves to keep a pen from drying out. However, this is not the case. There's a hole in the pen cap for a good reason. It acts as a safety feature. A youngster is less likely to suffocate if they swallow one, since air may easily circulate through the opening. Number 11. Quarter's edge. You've undoubtedly noticed the dozens of small grooves around a quarter's circumference before, but you may not have given them much consideration. However, these minute ridges formerly had a vital purpose. And no, it's not so that magicians can have a stronger grasp on coins for tricks. In the past, the value of a coin was directly proportional to the price of the metals used to strike it. As a result, many individuals would simply remove the valuable metal off the coin's edge, leaving the remainder of the coin intact for use as currency. They'd save the shavings until they'd had enough for a fresh batch of coins or to sell in bulk. Due to this problem, coin mints began including these ridges on their products so that stores could easily identify coins that had been shaved. This is done now out of respect for tradition and taste, rather than need. But in that case, why don't nickels have them? For the simple reason that nickels are ignored. Number 12. Ketchup cup. Those of you who have used a fast food restaurant's ketchup in a paper cup may be familiar with the nagging question: what gives with how little and fragile these things are? Is this supposed to be all the ketchup I'll ever need? However, these cups were created with a clever purpose in mind, which is not very well known. It's possible you've seen the creases in the cup's side and wondered what they're for. Well, if you open up the cup's folds, it becomes a much larger paper saucer, perfect for dipping French fries and holding extra ketchup. One of the numerous typical food containers with a hidden secondary use like the ketchup cup, you may have noticed that Chinese takeout containers have many flaps folded together. Well, when you open up the container and separate the flaps, it becomes a convenient dish for picnicking. Now that explains why Chinese restaurants give us strange looks when we ask for paper plates. Number 13. Beanie Pom-Pom. The pom-pom on top of knitted caps has a complicated history, and although some may find it adorable, others may find it frivolous and unattractive. It is widely held that the Vikings invented knitted hats in an effort to keep their massive ears toasty during the harsh Scandinavian winter. Hats like this were constructed by sewing together 3 knitted wool triangles. The pom-pom on top had 2 purposes. 1. It hid the top seams, and 2. It kept the yarn from coming loose. The pom-pom may have been replaced in later versions by a button shaped like a bean, hence the name beanie. In later times, English sailors discovered that the pom-pom was a great tool for avoiding head injuries on the ship's lower decks, where the pom-pom's added bulk made it feel like an extension of the wearer's head and caused them to automatically duck their heads a fraction of an inch lower than usual. The soldiers in Napoleon's army wore pom-poms on their helmets during the time when they were considered to be at the height of fashion. The various French military units and grades were distinguished by their distinctive pom-pom plumages and color schemes. Number 14. Gussets in panties. This is one of those things that guys might not know about until they start doing the laundry, while women could be familiar with the existence of this tiny pocket in their underwear, but be unfamiliar with its name and function. A gusset is a little pouch sewn into the front of women's underwear to improve cleanliness. Companies save money by not having to sew up the open area of the gusset, which is why the pocket version of the gusset is only found in cheaper women's underwear. A common feature of higher-end underwear is a fully stitched gusset. While the purse version was intended to provide further security, many women have discovered that the pocket version is just as handy for keeping their hygiene goods secured. Number 15. Notebook margins. If you've ever used a composition book or any other kind of notepad, you know not to go past the lines. But why have a margin anyway? Is this only to serve as a template for your writing? Is that for students or professors' use? Yes, this is a modern function, but its original intent was to protect the writer's handiwork from accidental damage. Rat and mouse infestations were common in older buildings since they were not built with modern pest prevention measures. Those rats love to gnaw on books, and if you were living at that era, your prized collection of poetry would have been no exception. Manufacturers of notebooks and journals started including a margin that could be nibbled at without worry about losing words to a mouse's gullet as a means of preventing rodents from chewing away vital portions of a document. It was also useful in reducing the effects of everyday wear and tear, therefore, the practice quickly spread. And there you have it. Those are the unknown functions of 15 unique things. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe for more interesting facts.